Hey, hey, hot tubbers. Welcome to the podcast Tub Talk with the Hot Tub Lady. And I am today. We have a very special guest, and his name is Jordan Harbold from Mainley Hot Tubs. And we are going to bring him on right now. Hey, Jordan, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I am absolutely fantastic. Let me get my computer all set up, and then I think we're good. So, what is going on today?
Just you trying to enjoy the nice weather here before we get into the fall time up in New England. Big time for a lot of the ski industries. A lot of our clientele in the ocean. Kind of getting their properties ready to go and just trying to get some more happy hot tubbers involved.
That is super exciting. I'm so jealous. You actually, so how close are you to the slopes when you, the ski industry and hot tubbing and all that good stuff?
Well, I am definitely not a skier, and not really my forte. But we're pretty blessed with our location. Where we are up in Maine, we're pretty close to Sugarloaf Mountain, Sunday River Mountain. We have Brenton Woods. We have Saddleback. We probably have a dozen, you know, absolutely stunning ski slopes within a few hours drive. It becomes a real destination for a lot of the New England, homeowners, whether it's New York, Massachusetts, and then we're also right by the ocean. So that's you know, best of both worlds.
Yeah, you definitely got it going on. That's nothing like it is here in South Dakota where we got flat cornfields. And that's all we got. But people still love hot tubs here. So I'm guessing that you just sell a absolute ton of hot tubs just due to your location alone. But it's do you do a lot of rental homes as well, or just mainly homeowners? Or
It's a real big spread. We definitely have a lot of secondary properties. We have a lot of ski homes, again, ocean homes. We've seen a huge rise in VRBO, Airbnb, all that stuff on the slopes, as well as in some of the more coastal towns. Maine is always known as vacation land, and it's a place people like to just escape the busy city and get away and have some nature. And what's better than sitting in a hot tub looking at the ski slopes or the ocean?
for sure. I mean, and I guess if I know for myself when I actually get away, I love my hot tub at home, but when I actually get away and I get to sit in that hot tub and relax, it just seems like the relaxation level is just multiplied by 1,000 just because you truly get to shut everything off. So I'm I'm pretty jealous of where you guys are located at. So, well, let's get into this a little bit. Let's just find out little bit about Jordan, where you are in the industry, how you got to where you are. Let's just hear your story a little bit.
Sure. Again, I really appreciate the opportunity to be on the show. I always follow you and you watch your shows and love everything we see. Um, I've been doing this pretty much since I got out of high school in the early 2000s. I started off working at a pool and hot tub company in the Midwest. Um, Started off doing mostly the service side of things. Ended up again handling a lot of the service, a lot of the delivery. Ended up helping manage it a little bit, and then I would occasionally help them out for at a fair sale or something like that.
Hmm.
Um, and it was actually a stroke of luck. I was on vacation in Maine visiting my in-laws, and I drove by Mainley Tubs just happenstance, and walked in and ended up talking to the old owner who chatted with me, and he kind of gave me a rundown of his business model and the way he likes to approach things, and we hit it off. I ended up moving up to Maine about 2 months later, and that was 7 years ago. Initially, when they hired me, it was to be a service technician, and they had me help out at a fair when I had recently got here. Coincidentally, it's the exact fair that we're setting up for right now, and it ended up working out well. I'm not really a. I always said I'm not really a salesperson because I've always just fixed them. I've always been a repair guy, water maintenance, water chemical, and install. So when I would talk to people, I wasn't trying to sell them anything because I really think that the products will sell themselves. I was just explaining kind of all the behind the scenes stuff. And it ended up working out really well. They decided that it would be better if I sold hot tubs, and the rest has been history. And I've just been loving every minute.
I'm sure you are. And Jordan's going to be really, really humble here, but Jordan does sell more hot tubs than any of the rest of us put together. So he's an incredible salesperson that does really, really well, and the industry recognizes him very much so for what he does. And I do think that the reason that you are so good is because you're the anti-salesperson. You're 100% about what the experience is going to be with this product once they get it home. And we've talked a little bit yesterday and we talked a little bit today. And, I one of the things that we really talked about was what makes a hot tub great. And I think you put that into words better than anybody else. So I'm just going to turn that over to you. What does make a hot tub great?
It's you mentioned not being a salesperson, and I think the problem with most salespeople is that they don't always understand maybe the products that they're really trying to represent as well, and a lot of them tend to have, I don't want to say an ulterior motive, but they aren't always trying to sell the experience piece of it.
Hmm.
Um, I find that a lot of my peers and a lot of the people that I work with around the country that I talk to, those of us who've been doing this for so long, we aren't trying to sell a product. We're trying to sell an experience, is what it is.
Hmm.
And everybody says a hot tub is it's just a big bucket of water. Um, you just want your bucket of water to last the longest. You want it to be the most comfortable, and you want to feel the most confident in owning it. Um, and a debate always rages about what the best brands are and all this other stuff. And it in our conversation yesterday, I kind of broke it down. To find the perfect hot tub, what makes the perfect hot tub great is to find, number one, a local dealer to you who is established, who is quality, who isn't just a sales company, but they have that mindset of wanting to sell you an experience, wanting to see your joy, wanting to see the benefits that you gain from this product, and that is their measure of success, how happy their customers are. You find a company who has all those values, then you want to find a company that can also kind of support you after that.
Absolutely.
They have a service department. They have some technicians, both water care and technical. Just because all hot tubs break,
Hmm.
I don't think anybody's under the illusion that you just plug one in and 30 years later it's still going.
I think
They
there
all
are
need a
some
little
people out there that think that, but
they all need a
um,
little TLC. Um, and then lastly, you want to find a company that is representing a product that is being designed for your set of needs. I'm personally a really big fan of hot springs and Caldera Spas.
for sure.
Um, I've just spent most of my career not necessarily being a representative of that brand, but as a technician working on those and seeing them in the field, the it's really hard to try to compare them quality wise to many other products. Um, there's a few brands that I don't represent here and that I have never been as a salesperson for, that I respect and I like, and I think that they're great and I think that they work. It's finding a dealer that has all three, that has your interest in mind, is able to you live up to the expectations and also carries that product. The trifecta kind of tends to be the unicorn thing everybody needs to locate. And I think we're lucky in the Caldera and the hot springs side of things that there's, you know, uh, I don't want to say per capita, but I think we've got a lot of really great dealers, who've dedicated their lives to making happy hot tubbers.
And I agree with that 100%. And You know, I've been to a few YouTube conferences and a few other conferences outside of our industry, and I actually grew up in the restaurant world. And the way that the Watkins people take care of their dealers and vet their dealers, get their dealers so that when you get signed on as a Watkins dealer, so as a Hot Springs dealer or a Caldera dealer, you've that's really something really special. And the level of communication and what is expected of you is very, very high. And if you aren't holding up your end of the standards, there you're not going to be around forever. I mean, that's definitely one of the things that they do, and it's because those standards are so high. I think that definitely helps to say that we really love this brand because we know all of our peers are really good people as well. And you know, one of the things that we talked about yesterday is I get a lot of phone calls these days from people looking, you know, how much or what hot tub should I buy, or you know, I'm looking at this hot tub, I'm looking at brand A and I'm looking at brand B, which one should I go with? And these are people not anywhere near my market, and I don't know any dealers in that area. And you know, the thing that I tell them, and I think you really touched on this, is it's more important to get the dealer than it is to get the brand. And I do think if you end up with the Watkins brand, you're going to find a good dealer, but there's a relationship that comes out of this transaction. You are not just going to buy the hot tub and we're going to say, hey, see ya, and that's the end of it. We're actually going to have a relationship. We're going to be friends. You're probably going to get my cell phone number. We're going to talk back and forth. We're going to be friends on Facebook. It's all the things, and it just because I want to know how this hot tub has improved your life, because I know it's going to. I know that once this big box of water in your backyard is running, your life is going to improve, and it's going to improve like tremendously. And so I think that's really, really important that you do get a relationship built with your dealer. And that's why I'm so proud to be part of this group, because I just think they're absolutely amazing. And I know that's exactly what you were just saying, but I was just wanted to reiterate it. Um, so kind of getting into that, what is your absolute favorite hot tub benefit?
Um, that's a tough one. You know, I spent a lot of years, you know, pushing hot tubs up hills.
Hmm.
You know, I'm not quite 40, but I always make the joke I've got a lot of miles on me, and
If you've been
you know,
pushing hot tubs around, you do.
yeah,
Those are hard miles.
it's hard miles, and you know, where I was originally from in Michigan, there was a lot of sand dunes, and I'll tell you what, you wanna set a workout regimen, you know, go push a Canabria up a sand dune.
Oh man.
And you know that's there's not much more difficult than that. I think the best benefit that I would say is it really hits home for me. You know, the circulation benefits, you know, and the buoyancy. It's so I personally have a hot tub. I have a hot spring sovereign, and I lay in the lounger seat, and I've got a couple of discs in my lower back that are compressed, and I have pretty bad sciatica problems. It's when I lay in the hot tub, it's not even always the jets that does it, but it's the way that the individual acrylic has kind of been molded to stretch my back out. It puts me in this perfect position and takes the tension off that area. And then I've got the hot water it's just kind of loosening everything up. And I can have a terrible day and just be aching and barely able to walk around. I go sit in the hot tub for 20, 30 minutes and I get out, and I mean, it kind of like recharges me. And um, I try to explain that to a lot of customers where, you know, they have a view of a hot tub as like this luxury party thing. And, you know, by all means, though, you know, they exist for that reason too, in a lot of extents. But, you know, people who are buying the hot tub for their true purpose, they're buying it to better themselves. They're buying it to better their families. Um, you know, pain management helps with sleep. That really is the thing that I touch on the most when I talk to customers. And I say, you know, think about anything you've spent money on, a boat, a four-wheeler, whatever. There's no other product that is even going to come comparable to this in the amount of benefit that you get over the number of times that you're going to use it. And to just
Right.
have that on demand is something that not many people in the world are blessed with as an option. And we should all kind of take stock and being happy that we have that amenity and that we're able to bring this product into so many homes.
Oh, and I agree 100%. And I could not live without my hot tub. I couldn't do it. My husband last night he played in a 50 and older softball tournament 2 weeks ago, and he's still there's a reason you only do that once a year, but he's still kind of hurting from that. And he used it last night. We used it again this morning, and he's like, I couldn't do what I do if I didn't have this. And I'm the same boat. I'm a morning user. That's actually one of my questions on here. What is the absolute best time to use your hot tub? I'm a morning user, but I do use it. I'm actually twice a day user. I mean, how about you? What do you feel is the best time to use your hot tub, and what are your customers telling you is the best time to use your hot tub?
So, and this is, I actually had this conversation with a customer the other day, and it's a crazy thing to think about. I have a lot of customers who are in the forestry products, meaning they're legitimate like lumberjacks. They
Okay.
go out and they cut down trees and they run skidders and they clear land. I mean, hard work. Um, and you'd be surprised how many of those people call me and will say, hey, in a panic, hey, my hot tub's dead. I need another one. It's the only way I can get up and go to work. Um, we see so many people who become accustomed to having a therapy device like that, where they wake up in the morning, everything's sore. I joke and say, all your past bad decisions tend to catch up with you as you age, and they're achy. And you go out there in the morning, and it recharges you. It gets you set up for the day, especially people who are going out and working in some of the colder climates. I see so many of our clients and our friends who have these outdoor jobs. They start every single day, 4 or 5 a.m. with a cup of coffee and a hot tub. And then they make it through the day. And, some of them like to celebrate at the end with a glass of something or whatever. And that's how they wind down. The number of twice a day users, I think, is starting to rise a lot more just as people start to use them more. Um, I wish I had as much time to do that. I'm juggling. I got some little kids I gotta
Yeah.
wrangle up and all that stuff. But I use mine, primarily evenings. It's a nice way to calm down. Everybody unplugs. No one's out there with their phones or their tablets or anything. We're just actually hanging out, having a conversation. And on my days off, that's the first thing I do. If I don't have to work on a day, I wake up, I get a coffee, I go sit in the hot tub. I give it a good 20 minutes of total peace and silence. And then maybe I'll get on, Facebook or something like that and, pass a little time. But it's kind of like my little Zen ritual that, I'm kind of treating myself,
Oh, for
that
sure.
day.
It's when I had kids at home, I was definitely an evening user. Now I'm an empty nester, and yeah, the morning thing's a good thing. And I'm a few years older than you, and you talk about when you get to be my age, and you lay in bed and you just ache from head to toe. And I know you feel that now, but just wait. Just wait. But when you just ache from head to toe, and you just lay there and you're like, oh, not today. I don't want to do it today. And you just go out there in that hot tub for 10-15 minutes. I like to hit the clean cycle. That's my snooze button. And I am good to go. That is absolutely awesome. Awesome way to do that. So, but that, believe it or not, that is one of the number one questions on Google about hot tubs is what time of day is the best time to use the hot tub. So that's, that's one of the reasons that I brought that up today. What, so do you do any service anymore? Are you mainly just sales now, or do you work on service quite a bit, or
I'm, I say this with a laugh. I pretty much just do sales. Every now and again, I'm able to somehow, sneak out and go do some service. Every once in a while, I'll have a customer who, they absolutely need maybe not the technical support as much, but maybe they just need a little bit of calm guiding
Hmm.
help. Um, I've gotten away from doing a lot of the technical work pretty much, but I like to go out and help, especially a lot of the clients that I personally have sold.
Right.
Um, you know, Maine has an aging population, so we do have a lot of older folks up here, and you know, I think people enjoy their products so much more when they feel so confident in taking care of it. You know, they
100%.
feel like they've got a handle on it. And I'll do a lot of what I call like a white glove visit. If one of my clients is having a problem with their water chemistry, if they can't figure something out, I typically do kind of my south region, which is between our store and where I live. I'll stop over and help them out. I'll do some of the site visits before installation just to help them map it out. Yeah, I always tell them to look for the three principles to a placement, which are the experience, the functionality, and the serviceability. We just try to make sure that when somebody puts a hot tub in, that it's in its forever home,
Right.
and we haven't overlooked something. So I kind of have this weird mix of just skills that I've kind of stumbled into over the years and doing this, and it's a weird mix, but it helps. I think a lot of
It's the
people.
right mix.
I don't know if I go that far, but I think because I really believe in the product. I believe in the product, and I'm so like vested in the industry itself that I truly care. I'm not doing it just, because of money. A lot of times I'm doing it off the clock. I'm doing it because I care about the people and I want them to enjoy their stuff. And just a happy person enjoying their hot tub I know I've changed their life, and I know that they're going to spread the message to their friends and family. And the more people that we can start having enjoy these things, say nothing of the benefits for the industry, but people's well-being, stress levels, just it has so many. The repercussions are just so vast. So
Well, and even health. I mean, it helps improve your health. It helps improve everything. And when I say it's the right mix, because those are the things that I do as well. If somebody's struggling, I'll stop by their house, or I'll do a Zoom call with them or a FaceTime call with them, just to kind of make them feel comfortable. And the fact that the customers can call makes all the difference in the world. I mean, and that's why this stuff is doing so incredibly well, because it's somebody out there just answering questions. And so that's what you're doing, and you're making the industry better as a whole, and you're making your customers experience better as a whole. And that's why I say it's the right mix there. um, and I think it helps because I did have my own hot tub store way back in 2003, and so I had to know all the things. In the fact that you do know all the things, not that you're the one actually fixing it, but you're the one that can say, oh, hey, no, that's this, or this is that, that light's blinking because of this, or hey, make sure you clean your filter. Or I think it helps calm people, and I think it makes them just feel better. And I think that's really good that you're doing that. And one of the questions I get all the time here on YouTube and on the podcasts are, what is the number one service call? What are the things that are going to be going wrong? And you have some experience with that. I mean, so how would you answer that question?
I'll tell you that is a topic that has been brought up just over decades of
Yes.
trying to get the information out to clients. And like you mentioned, so much stuff that's online, you try to get answers, and it's just a sales pitch. So again, another reason why I love the shows that you do. I think it helps a lot of people. I always tell customers right off the bat, the number one the number one service call issue, and they don't always like to hear this, but the number one service call issue is usually the customer. It's because they didn't read a book. They didn't read the instruction sheet. They hadn't confirmed their output for their salt system or whatever. And I know that might not be the answer that you were looking for, but I wanted to touch on that because so
No, but it's
many
true.
so many people, they buy a hot tub, and if they weren't fortunate enough to buy one from a company that has a support center, it's the same as if I just go buy I don't know, a vacuum cleaner at Walmart. I mean, I have the instructions, and that's all I've got. I don't have any support, which is why I think it's so important that customers try to seek out a dealer that is going to help them, that is going to give them the tools that they need to be successful, and to give them a rundown and to say, hey, if you just spend an extra 5 minutes a week and you test your pH, clean your filters,
Clean your filters.
clean your filters, and I'll say it again, clean your filters. Those items, any type of preventative maintenance like that, it just pays dividends because, above and beyond making the components last longer, it's your experience. If you're out in crystal clear, perfect water that, that has no odor, you're just going to enjoy it better. And
for sure you are.
I think that's a big part of it all. If I had to come down to an actual thing, I would say that probably the most common service call that I see across the board is a flow issue, which
right.
it goes back to the filters. People don't clean their filters, or they let their filters get so terribly dirty that when they pull them out and your intake starts to suck in a lot of the debris, now all of a sudden you have particulates in the bellows of the pressure switch. You've got a flow switch issue. Your thermistors go. I mean, it's all kind of connected. And
very much so.
If you just take a little bit of time and just spray your filters out, or if you're like me and lazy, have an extra set and just swap them. Every couple weeks, swap your filters. Your system's going to last longer. Your water's going to be clear. You're going to have an easier time with everything. And, you just know that you're going to get a better experience from it. And that's not even to touch into the, financial savings that's attached to that, because you start burning up pressure switches and flow switches and stuff like that adds up.
It's just more efficient all the way around. I mean, it heats better, you're going through less chemicals, you're just doing all the things, and it does make a huge difference. Now, I'm not going to say that cleaning your filters is the end all be all, but it is 97% of what you got to do to take care of your hot tub. In fact, I did finally get that t-shirt made that says clean your filters, and you guys can buy that on my website, thehottublady.co. Go to the t-shirt section. And then I did actually just start a new Facebook group. It's a private Facebook group, and it's actually called Clean Your Hot Tub Filters. That is just the whole purpose of that group is to help people with the everyday maintenance that just comes up with hot tubs. And I know there's quite a few of them out there, but this one's going to kind of be geared a little bit more towards salt and that type of thing. But that's definitely there too, as if you want to check that out. So we did just have okay, we have Michael just joined us. Michael Blair, welcome to the podcast. He says, we just experienced that. Brought a new hot tub. They dropped it off and said good luck. I'm sorry to hear that, Michael. That's I hate to hear that, and I can tell you from our dealership, we're really, really struggling with hiring help. And so we do kind of have two separate crews these days. We kind of have a delivery crew that kind of drops everything off and lets that happen, and they drop it off. But your salesperson, and we do have an orientation crew that follows up behind that, and we kind of let you get it wired and make everything happen. But then we will follow up and get out there and take care of that for you. Michael, I hope to be a resource for you. If there's something that we can do to help you out, if you have any questions, by all means, reach out to me on Instagram. I do have a lot of cheat sheets. If you're in the Maine area, I'm sure Jordan will help you out as well. And there's a lot of good dealers out there that'll help you out. But if there's any particular question that we can help you with, we would love to do so. What did you get for a hot tub, and what are you struggling with at the moment? We'd be happy to answer that. But that really makes me sad when I hear that, because it happens way more than it doesn't these days, is what I'm hearing. And
well, one thing that I've started to see, especially with COVID, you had so many people in this buying frenzy just trying to get hot tubs, and
correct.
I think a lot of them sacrificed on quality in order to save time. I mean, Walmart, Amazon, Alibaba, all these other places, Wayfair, a lot of them sold hot tubs, and they dropped them off. It was a UPS guy and a
Yep.
wave, and that was all. I know there's a lot of dealers out there who have tried to kind of help out, even though they're not necessarily the exact product. But I know of a lot of helpful resources on YouTube. I know myself with Mainley Tubs, we've shot quite a few videos on YouTube that explain how to fill your tub, water testing, all that stuff. So I think there's probably, if you went to YouTube and you looked up, some of the common questions, you're likely going to see some great industry professionals, giving their take, and hopefully, we're able to help you get on the right foot, and get this thing going for you.
And for sure, and that's I mean that's a big deal. And if I mean and for the most part, I think everybody's heading down the right direction. I do think that the bad advice is getting weeded out. I do think there's enough people out there that if there is some bad advice, it is getting weeded out. There are a lot of, like you said, there was a lot of people that bought stuff just wherever they could get it. And we run into a lot of like people bought some stuff at shows and that type of thing. And that gets, it's hard because the ability to get parts and pieces is sometimes a challenge, especially for if you bought it at a big box or you bought it online or you bought it at a traveling show. So that plays a factor in it as well. But ultimately, we do want you to have a happy hot tub experience. That's what we want, because we don't want anybody to have a bad hot tub experience. So if there's anything that any of us can do to help you figure out how to balance the water, clean your filters, make sure that you fill the hot tub in the right way. You don't want to get an airlock and those type of things. And we can move you along. So hopefully that helps out a little bit. So and he says your channel has been amazing, and you did purchase the eye care monitor. I love that eye care. It's definitely been a godsend in our dealership. It's helped a lot of people. It's taken a lot of the questions out of it. There is a learning curve with the eye care. I would definitely say that. And there's a lot of really cool things coming out in the industry as they keep talking. There's a lot of really cool stuff happening. I just actually tested another smart water monitor here over the summer. I'm still going to stick with iCare. I still think that's the best one out there. But do you guys sell that at all? Do you guys work with any smart monitors or?
At the moment, we don't a lot. We had seen some options like Finn. Uh,
Hmm.
that was an option that came out. We do deal with a couple of other brands besides Watkins that had kind of exploratory, played around with some of it.
Hmm.
It's a difficult one because, you know, when I think of monitoring systems, I think of like a full, Chemtron setup for a pool, which
Right.
is, now we're talking
It's
crazy dollars and just way above. I think I think some of the more, I don't want to say the entry level systems. I think it's a great peace of mind. Um,
yes.
I think that works well. We've seen a lot of our clientele will purchase the outdoor Wi-Fi thermometers, put them at their ski
Hmm.
residences. Just that way, they're able to actually drop the temp probe into the water to give them a remote reading for where their hot tub is temperature wise.
And
And
that's a big feature alone.
I think, as you say, I think that there's a lot of interesting and exciting things on the horizon for a few brands who are going to be hopefully unveiling some stuff that integrates a little bit more of it. But it's, you know, water chemistry has always been kind of that learning curve piece at the beginning, and if you're just left with you know a wave at delivery without any guidance, it can make it tough. And again, it really goes back to the whole, you're not buying the product, you're buying the experience,
Hmm.
and make sure that who you buy from can provide that. And I mean, you actually touched on a important topic for me. That is those, the shows that come around. Um, those I think are the most misleading thing for customers
For
because
sure.
they do a great job of talking about a brand being so great, and they've got, oh, this celebrity endorses it, and their marketing is wonderful, but in reality, it's not a really quality unit, and they show these massive discounts. and who doesn't want a deal? It's hard to turn away from it. Um, I have a little saying on how we do things up here, and I mean, I try to say it humbly, but I say most people buy their first hot tub from us, but everybody buys their second. And a lot of it is because those who didn't get their first ones, we kind of end up helping them in one way or another. And
Right.
they realize what you get, when you work with a company like ours. And, and again, like so many of the other Watkins, team of dealerships across the country, you're getting taken care of, and people genuinely care about you. So.
Yes. I mean, and it's like I said, it becomes a relationship. I mean, it truly does, and that's definitely what we want to happen. And it's for me. I've been doing this for a really long time, and for me, and even through COVID, we had to bring on some other brands, and we had to do some things. And for me, one of the coolest things when I can come out and say this is the hot tub you should buy, and this is the reason why you should buy it, because it's got this insulation, and it's got this 20-year parts guarantee, and it's got the best massage and the best water and all the things, that I can say that with true confidence, because I know, because I've been through it all with them. I know that they're going to stand by what they say, and do what they say they're going to do. And no matter what, they are going to stand by their product. And it's, I have a gentleman that actually is in Scotland. Yeah, I believe it's Scotland. He's been following the channel, and he's been struggling a little bit with his new hot tub, and he kind of got it in the middle of everything, and he was venting some frustrations with me. And I don't owe him anything. I don't have to do anything for him. But I was talking to my rep the other day. I'm like, hey, this guy's really unhappy, and is there something that we can do? And I got his email, and we got it. Um, he got that to the international team so that they could help him out. And there's not a lot of manufacturers that would do that, and that's huge. And I didn't have to help the guy, but I wanted to help the guy because I do believe in the product. I love the product, and I know they're going to step up and do what they have to do. And that is huge for me, that when I can stand and look you in the eye and say, this is why I'm better. This is why this is worth it. And I I can't do that with a lot of other stuff that's on my floor right now. I mean, I've had some stuff show up here recently that is truly, what I got 6 months ago and what I got today aren't, they don't have the same parts in it, and I don't know when they changed them. So those are some things that make it difficult. So um, do your homework, especially in today's world. There are hot tubs showing up. There are hot tubs showing up in showrooms again. They are available. They're not 100% availability. We aren't completely off allocation yet. But if you can be a little bit patient, you can get the hot tub that you want. So um, that's a big deal. But
Well, and to talk a little bit about that kind of reference, over the pandemic and having the allocations. I mean, so many dealers that I know, um, there wasn't a lot of choice. A lot of people had to go out and find products that they were able to sell, and they did their best homework and their best due diligence. And I think being a member of the Watkins kind of group, it you almost become spoiled a little bit as a
okay.
dealer. Yeah, and it's just because of the amazing support you get, not just from the you know the company, but like actual people at the company. Um, I can remember I had tons of conversations with some of the upper level management
Mhm.
at Watkins, reaching out to check in on us, and reps and product trainers and accessory people. And I just, they go so far above and beyond what I think any manufacturer would go, not just hot tubs, any good, um, that you start looking at everything else, and it's just, it's in second place, but it's in second place by such a margin on some of the stuff. And a lot of times when I'm explaining it to customers, I say, look, hot tub, when you're shopping for a value, you've got to take everything into consideration. You've got to take, you're paying X amount of money for the hot tub. You know, if you find a cheaper hot tub somewhere else, you got to think, why is it cheaper? Well, the only way to make a cheaper hot tub would have to be to build it cheaply, to kind of cut some corners on stuff.
Yep.
And um, I use an example from actually one of our employees here. One of his neighbors bought one on Wayfair, and I mean, I know it gets cold out by you guys, probably colder than us, but it still gets pretty rough here. And when this lady was saying that her electric bill was upwards of $175 a month for a hot tub,
Whoa.
all of a sudden you start to say, all right, well, yeah, the hot tub was, for easy math, the hot tub was $5,000 instead of buying the $10,000 one that, you wanted. But, the $10,000 one, you'd have only been paying 40 or $50 a month. So now you've got kind of the hot tub that you really didn't want. You're still going to pay that same money. You're just, instead of giving it to the hot tub guy, you're giving it to the power company. And then, everything just started to play out. Stuff started breaking. That's what a lot of people, I don't think, realize. I think that our industry is kind of shrouded a little bit by a fog of war, where you can't, there's not a lot of pricing available online for a lot of products.
Right.
Due to a number of reasons and variables, from, shipping to location to everything else. So when customers see a price online, like Amazon or Wayfair or something, it kind of excites them, and they assume that product is in the same
Right. They
tier
think they're
of
getting this.
quality.
Exactly.
And I try to do whatever I can to educate people. At the same time, though, not just saying, hey, don't buy that garbage, just because. I mean, there's really sound logic behind it. And there's a reason why you tend to see, like just for us, hundreds of these hot tubs that aren't that old, that just,
Right.
they end up in the landfill because they don't make it.
Which is
So,
crazy because I traded in a hot spring here 2 weeks ago that was in 1983. It's still running. I'm not going to resell it. I'm not going to resell it at this point in the game. It is, but that's
that's a
absolutely.
classic.
It is. It was a classic actually, but
I remember
it's
servicing those.
yes, but but it was still running. I mean, I could put it on the showroom and put water in it, and I could definitely show it. It's just at this point where it wouldn't be worth the back end if anything ever were to go wrong with it. But yeah, and you're right. We have hot tubs that we've sold 4 or 5 years ago that when something goes down, we're just going to tell them that sorry, that's just because of the things that everybody had to do just to keep the doors open because everybody wanted a hot tub. And I can tell you that getting back becoming a Watkins dealer is definitely pretty high on the list. And if you come into my showroom and you ask me which one should I buy, I'm going to tell you the Watkins one every time. I mean, I am going to tell you every time. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean it's the right one for you, but I truly, if you want to know what my opinion is, that is my opinion, and that's not that I wouldn't sell you something else, but if you ask me the question, I am going to tell you that's the case. So, um, Frank says, great job, you two. Thanks, Frank. We appreciate that. And Michael says, the company that I had bought from was great on the front end, answering the questions and very helpful until I paid. Then was hard to get info and help. I'm really sorry, Michael. I wish there was something I could do to make your situation better. And the best I can do for you at this point is to help you along the way. And if you have questions, we'll definitely do everything we can to make your experience the best that it can be, because that's for sure. Um, eh, my opinion and my goal and the whole reason I do all of this is I think everybody should have a hot tub. I've had one since I was 18 years old. and I can't possibly imagine not having one. My kids have both been in it since they were 6 weeks old. My grandkids have been in them since they've been 6 weeks old. The benefits that come from a hot tub, I just really, really think everybody in the world should have one. And it's my goal to make sure everybody gets one. And some of that might require some of us to have to help out in situations that weren't necessarily ideal at the beginning, but we do want you to have a hot tub, and we do want you to enjoy it. We want you to say great things about it, because even though you're frustrated, I do know you love it, and I do know the fact that you get to sit in it and relax, and everything that comes with that is worth it. So, um, let's see, what else. What other questions did I have for you today? Um, what do you love the most about selling hot tubs?
um, that's a trick question. It's I like talking to people. I we're pretty fortunate here on the structure that we have, in that we don't do any commission based sales. So I'm just on salary, kind of hanging out with people all day. I, I like
That
I
means
like
more.
that. Yeah, it's and I think and pretty much we do it by choice. I know it's been brought up a couple times, and everybody just seems to want to keep with this kind of program, because it really it inspires teamwork so much more.
Right. I'm
Um,
sure it does.
all the sales team work together. We help each other. It's also, when customers come in, we can just say, you know, a relaxing, "Hey, how's it going today? Any questions you've got?" It's not, we aren't looking at them as a personal financial gain. We're just
Mhm.
talking to them, and I think a lost I don't know if it's a lost art, or it seems like today salespeople just want to, they want to meet you, they want to take your money, they want you to sign a sheet, and they want to get you out. Um, Not just in our industry. I
Oh, I
mean,
would say
I've
there's some truth to that for sure.
cars and boats and anything you buy. I like talking to people. I like talking to them about their day, what they're doing this weekend. They got any animals, any dogs, hobbies. I like chatting with people to the extent where we can actually kind of just hang out, make a connection, and then when we finally have to go back to talking about hot tubs, it almost feels like we're like cheapening our relationship.
Right. Right.
So, and it's something new every day. You're never gonna, very rarely are you gonna walk into the same kind of thing every day. And
Yeah,
I've got a, I have a lot of friends who are in careers that are, it's like Groundhog Day. You wake up, you do the same thing every single day, and that's it. Um, so I consider myself to be pretty blessed, doing something fun that I love, in a product that I really believe in, with some people that I consider my friends, and you know, meeting a lot of great people, not just here, but I mean, I field a lot of requests on, like, our Facebook forums,
right.
our Instagram forums, our chat lines, where I'll get people from, "Hey, I live in Canada and I can't figure this out," or, "Hey, I live down in Ohio. I want to buy a hot tub and I don't know where to go," or,
Right.
you know, I kind of, have I get to spend some time kind of like almost like an air traffic controller, kind of sending people to, the right destinations, and dealers that I know are going to take good care of them, and anybody that I can always help out, even if it's not a product that I sell now. I've probably seen something about it in the career, and
Right.
I'm always around to answer questions and help if we can. So just anybody that, again, the gentleman with some problems, you know, drop me a Facebook message. I'll see what I can do to help you out.
So, and that's awesome. And I mean, what? So, is there a specific Facebook group that you are involved in, or do you guys mainly Tubs have their own, or what group are you including?
So I mean, I'm in probably five or six different
Right.
ones. You Mainly Tubs has its own, Facebook page, and it
Mm-hmm.
has its own, obviously personal inbox. We get a lot of messages through there.
Yep.
I'm also a member of quite a few of, hot tub repair forums, chemical forums. There's a number of brand specific groups of people. There's a number of hot tub technician forums.
Mm-hmm.
And I've just, over the years, from all the different conferences and all the different trainings I've been to through all the different manufacturings, I've got to meet a lot of people. And, every now and again, we'll get on there and banter a little bit. And
Right.
in the end, we're always just trying to help out the consumer, anybody that asks questions. So there's really almost an endless amount of information and help available.
I would
It's
agree.
just about finding it, and it's really about finding it from a peers group, a group online that isn't affiliated with a sales company, because you want to get help without a pitch.
Right.
That's it. And that's what we try to do always. We try to give people help without the sales pitch, and just make sure that whatever product they're going to invest with, and whatever problem they have, that we try to, help them find a solution.
And you guys do a really good job of it, and your reputation in the industry. And the industry actually in reality is pretty small. I mean, most of us know each other, and most of us have been. I will tell you, if you've been in the industry, you don't get out of the industry. That's as much as you just don't. It's one of those things that once you're in there, but most of us have known each other, bumped into each other, and know if you don't know someone specifically, up here in their group that everybody knows each other. And the training that has happened, especially at least in our little niche of it, has been absolutely outstanding. I mean, the training that goes on that Watkins provides and BioGuard provides, and there's just some really really good stuff out there. And I do believe that we're all saying the same thing. There's a few people who may be off a little bit, but for the most part, I do believe that you're getting all the same information, and I think that's important to get consistent information, because there are some things out there every once in a while that are kind of out there. But what's your take on salt? How do you feel about salt?
Ooh, yeah. Personally, I love the technology. Having seen it kind of come up in the pool industry first, it's there really isn't anything comparable to it, in terms of the experience, I guess. I have a unique situation again in that my wife has eczema issues, and some of my children have sensitive skin. It's extremely soft on the skin. You don't have the chlorine odor at all. And I mean, personally, I enjoy the soak a little bit more.
Hmm.
Now, having said that, I don't tell people when they come in the door, oh, you've got to do salt. Like, salt's the only choice. Salt is wonderful for people who need it. And it seems as though a lot of people would benefit from having that type of sanitation system,
Hmm.
just because they don't want to have to deal with the chlorine smell. They don't want to have to deal with, people complain about the bleaching of the suits and all that stuff. But I think that there's just been a lot of misinformation that's been given by everyone. You get some people heralding it as this great option that's gonna heal your soul and exfoliate your skin and do all this other stuff, and it's that's not really what it's there for. That's not why you should get a salt tub, and it doesn't do that. At the same time, you got people saying, oh, well, it's going to corrode the system. It's going to eat up all the parts. And, oh, it's so hard to take care of. And it's like ocean water. That is equally absurd.
Right.
Um, it, it's a technological breakthrough that, unfortunately, at this time, only the top tier of manufacturing has been able to overcome.
Hmm.
It took a lot of individual R&D efforts, I feel, on the behalf of a specific company to make it happen. Um, I think probably every manufacturer is going to eventually try to find a way to do it, because
Oh, for sure.
there's just no reason not to. Um, but I think, for the moment, I think people are actually kind of lucky, and they're lucky because if they want a saltwater hot tub, right now, by default, the only real integrated salt system that's in existence is made by Watkins Manufacturing.
Right.
And that's going to be Hot Springs or Caldera. So you're going to be very fortunate, because if you want a saltwater hot tub, you're just going to default get the best hot tub that you could buy anyway. And then it's just going to also happen to have salt. So that's the way that I pitch it to people, and I explain it. And I say, this is why we do what we do. We explain it all. We want people to know what's the right pick for them. And I've never had somebody get a salt tub and tell me they hate it, ever. I get more people who just up and down beg me for, how can I convert my old, 2003 jet setter to a salt system? And
yeah, I get that question every day.
Unfortunately, it's not possible. Luckily, we've, with the new efficiency upgrades, a lot of the new options in the styling, we're seeing a lot of customers are truly seeing the benefits to, changing out their models, not just because of the need for salt, but because of the advancements made in every other front. And, they're gaining that exceptional experience by doing so.
Right. And again, it's all about the experience. And I am a saltwater girl. I do believe in salt. I think salt is the way to go if you've got the opportunity to do so. But it is a budget thing first. I mean, that's going to be number one, that not everybody's going to spend that much money on a hot tub. But I'm probably one of the biggest proponents for salt. I'm not out there saying it's going to exfoliate you and you can use it as a float tank or anything like that, because there are people, it's crazy the amount of customers that come in that are like, oh, it's just like an Epsom salt, right? I'm like, no, it's it's definitely more about the sanitation of the hot tub, but it just feels so good. And it's so, once you get it dialed in, there is a learning curve, just like I was talking earlier with the eye care, there is a learning curve and you have to learn it. And it's not something that anybody can do for you. I mean, you do have to learn that your hardness has to be at this level and your phosphates have to be down, and that you never add more salt. There's always plenty of salt. Don't add more salt. And there's just some things that you have to learn. It's not hard, but it is something that you have to learn. But once you learn those things, that I'd say that first for us anyway, I'd say that first 6 weeks of owning a saltwater hot tub is probably the worst part of it, because I'd say sometimes the expectations of the salt system are higher than what they should be. I think sometimes people feel that they never have to do anything to that hot tub again, and that just doesn't exist. And I feel we do a very good job on up front explaining to people how that works, that this salt system is only going to create a teaspoon and a half of chlorine in a 24-hour period, and you sometimes are going to have to help that out. People just, all they heard is they had a saltwater hot tub and they never have to do anything to it again. And so I think once you get over that learning curve, people think it's the greatest thing that they've ever done. But there is that challenge of getting through it, that it's not just push a button and you're good. There's a few more things involved in that, but it is worth it. I would 100% say it is worth it. So
I tend to see more of the new spa owners, people who haven't had a hot tub before. I tend to see them having an easier time with the salt system, just because not to say that, I don't want to say training is so much different, but you get people who are used to a chlorine style or like the old bromine style systems, or God forbid, like a biguanide based or a hydrogen peroxide or something. They're kind of used to doing these things, and a lot of them, they can't help themselves. They feel as though they should be doing something. They should be pouring something in. And I find the new homeowners, when I talk to them, I give them a rundown and I say, look, step one is don't panic. Here's a sheet that we give you. We've got a video on our site. It explains what to do step by step. You're going to have to give it just a little bit of chlorine at the beginning to sanitize your source water. Once you've got that done, all you're doing is checking the chlorine to be sure that it holds for a couple days. That gives your system time to kind of take off and do its thing. And I always tell them, don't be afraid to push that boost button. a lot of people are scared that it's going to kill it. And I tell them all the time, I say, I have little kids, and I trust my little kids in the hot tub, but I still push the boost button when they get out.
Right.
So it's just, it's there, it's meant to work. And that's the key. It was the way that they produced that system is again, it's a lot of the way that the good hot tub manufacturers make their tubs. They made that whole idea, the whole system, they created it to perform a certain way. They went through the logic processes, they came up with how it was going to work, and they made that, to perform, to sanitize, and to minimize the amount of extra stuff you got to do. And people occasionally they just they get worked up, and having a good dealer and a good support system to be there, answer any questions, is going to help.
It does make a big difference. And I think there's some, on all of that, I think there's some false information out there that people feel that they shouldn't hit that boost button because it's going to burn that cell up quicker. And it couldn't be any further from the truth. I mean, use that boost button. That's adding more chlorine to your hot tub is harder on those cells than it is to hit that boost button. So, and that's a hard one to get people over. But um, anyway, it's been an hour already. So,
Time
uh,
flies when you're having fun.
it does. So, is there anything that we missed that you want to bring up? You got a good, you got an audience here, and we'll be on the podcast here. This will go to live to the podcast here pretty soon. And anything that you want to throw on there that we didn't get to talk about, or
I mean, I just can't say it enough times that your best resource when you're looking for a wellness product, is going to be your local dealer. It's going to be the person that's local to you. Um, you know, most people are going to be fortunate enough to have a dealer that carries a quality, reputable product, but you have to, when you're shopping, you should be shopping for the experience. You shouldn't necessarily just be shopping with a dollar amount in mind. You want to get all the information that you can. This is a big investment. It's not something that people buy frequently. I mean, maybe 2-3 hot tubs in an entire lifetime if they started young.
right?
So spend your time, do your research, make sure that the person that you're shopping with is truly selling you an experience and not just a thing. And then just know that there are a lot of us out there who deeply care about this industry, and we're always here to help in any way that we can. And, again, we're very lucky to have come up in this industry and, to get to work with such great people and, to generally just really work with a lot of happy, great customers, because I haven't met a lot of people who are not excited about hot tubs or happy or relaxed. I mean, it is about the epitome of relaxation. You can't get a better example of that. And, working with all those great people and, carrying the good products, it just makes it worth it. So, when you're out shopping, looking around, do your research, make sure that, you're getting it from a local dealer, make sure that you've asked the questions,
Yep.
make sure that they are selling you the experience.
Ask your friends, check your Google reviews, get the whole thing. Figure everything out there, because it's a big deal. Don't do it just for price, because you will see that on the back end for sure. I mean,
Most definitely.
so Jordan can be found at what's your website there, Jordan?
So Mainley Tubs is just www.mainleytubs.com. That's where all of our products are showcased. Um, as far as any questions or comments, if you need anything, you can always reach out to me either through our Facebook portal. I'm always on there checking it out, which is just, again, Mainley Tubs on Facebook. I don't have a direct website to me, but I'm always reachable through one of our channels, or again at our main website that people will reach out to. You can actually submit questions, comments. You can text. We've got a pretty good support system hooked up there for chat as well.
Yeah, the I think we've all kind of got that figured out, so it is pretty cool that way. So, I do have the website on the show notes right now. I will get the Facebook link linked up as well, so you guys can reach out to them via that way. But you guys, I totally appreciate everyone being here, and we will be back next week. I believe I have Jim Walls from Ideal Water Carrier next week, and lots of really good fun stuff coming out. But you guys have been absolutely awesome as always, and just remember, keep making life epic. We will see you soon.